Hello, LeeAnn. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. It's so fun to see you.
I
Thanks for having
know.
me.
I'm so excited to have you on Opportunity Knocks. And we have actually talked about this very day from the very beginning when I was brainstorming with you on a walk as we were in COVID and exploring all the different landscapes you had found in our neighborhood that I never knew about.
Oh my gosh, wasn't that so nice? I feel like that was like eons ago.
I know,
I was
right?
thinking about COVID on my walk this morning and thinking about how when it started and we were all kind of on lockdown, it just was so like we were just a lot of the time we were just taking a deep breath. Like it was scary, but there was like we always talked about so many of the positives, because
Mhm.
we are always working and doing things. And I was thinking about that this morning. It's so funny. And now I think like, oh my gosh, there's like so much to recover from. It's got
Yeah.
definitely a switch in mindset and you got to keep focused on the positive, but it's hard.
Absolutely. And I think, in particular, in the area that we both live in, you see the haves and the have nots so much greater. And I think that's probably what you're shining a light on right now is that very thing. When we are on our walks in the morning, you can definitely see those things still. So, anyways, in our audience out there, I'm so excited to introduce you to the one and only LeeAnn Sauter, who is not only a friend of mine, but truly an inspiration. For years, I have followed her trajectory, not only as a mother of two twins, boy and girl, but also as she founded now several companies, frankly. And her most recent venture is Root Living. And what I love about LeeAnn is she walks her walk. So she is not just somebody who talks about things, she's a doer. And
Yeah.
so that always makes me want to be around her because I want to learn more about, wow, how did she do it?
Aw.
So I want them to hear all about you, LeeAnn.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you, Michelle. You know how much I adore and love you, and I'm so glad that I've been part of your journey, and you sure as heck have been part of mine. So, thank you for all the support over the years, and I hope you know I love you as much, if not more, than you love me. So, thank you for that.
Wow. It's the same. It's like minded. We're attracted to one another.
I know. And I love the questions. I just love all the questions that you always like ask me, and your way of checking in is truly an inspiration to me, and I even loved getting ready for this opportunity with
She looks
you with
pretty.
Opportunity Knocks, because I love the questions and I love like the questions that you send over that might come up, and it's always thought provoking. And I will say that bringing you just brought up like a really good emotion for me, because I was on a walk, gosh, now it's 16 years ago, with another really wonderful human named Evelyn. And I said, I have this idea and I want to like change, I found this place in retail that I really feel like has never been done before and change the face of destination retail. And I told her my whole idea of working with these luxury hotels around the world and it being curated at a global opportunity for newer designers, tried and trues, and all these philosophies that I had that I just thought people on vacation not only deserved, but like it was such a missed opportunity to create joy and happiness for people, because retail therapy, as I believe, is very real. And it can be good for good times or bad times.
It
You
is very
feel.
real. Let's face it.
Yeah. And it's like, it's fun to have things that remind you of all these amazing moments on your vacation. And I was walking with Evelyn. I had the twins. They were not even 2 years old. And she said, that's a great idea. I think you should totally do it. And she said she never thought the next day I would actually just wake up and do it. Like, okay, you think it's a great idea? Done. Let's do it.
Absolutely. All you
And
need
first
is
was
that one
his.
advocate that believes in you, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought, well, if she thought it was a good idea and I thought it was a good idea, like, who wouldn't think it's
Everybody's going to think it's a good idea. And by the way, everybody does think it was a good idea.
Oh my gosh, some of my favorite moments. So I think it's so funny because they're like, I can't believe you came up with this. This is genius. I can't believe you came up with this. I'm like, I don't know if I should be insulted or if I should be really happy. I've heard that literally thousands of times in the last 15 years, but I'm going to take it as a positive that it was something that needed to be done in the world. And I'm just glad I was the one that got to do it. I loved and I love what I do. And I loved it from the beginning. So it was great.
I have to say, having experienced you in these amazing experiential retail concepts in some of the most beautiful destinations, you're in your element.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me about what part of you comes to life, because really, it truly is. I mean, just so that we all know, LeeAnn has coined the term hashtag no ordinary moments. And when she works with somebody, I'll never forget that transition of viewing her as a friend, transitioning to see her in her work element. And it truly is, she comes to life.
Yeah. Even talking about it makes my heart like kind of beat faster. I do love it. And I will tell you that no ordinary moment became a thing over a course of time, but the very first element for me was my why I really wanted to do something. Being a new mom, people are like, you're crazy. Like, what are you doing? Why do you want to do this? It was really because I wanted to give my daughter an inspiration and like a reality check as she got older, that if you really wanted to do something and you loved it and you woke up every day like it was Christmas morning, and no matter if it was a good day or a bad day, with what you did for a living or what you wanted to add to the world, because it doesn't even have to, it could be something completely nonprofit, it can be something you're focused on, but to wake up, to be able to be somebody who wakes up every day and really truly loves what they do and is totally in their element, to your point, my business makes people happier, and I just love all the other opportunities, no pun intended, but like I
Exactly.
love the opportunities that I not only just gave to my team, but I love the opportunities as I grew the company and brought on all these amazingly talented people. But I loved giving the opportunities. Think about it, we carried thousands of different vendors. We actually were a lot of the first time to do anything with a vendor. I would meet people on the beach that was doing something. I would like have, like, I can help you do this. Like, you should be doing this in a bigger audience. And, we were a direct line to the number one consumers in the world. And I loved being able to help all those people. I really did. That was what gave me the glow, for sure.
So it sounds like, there's this part of you that really just enjoys serving people.
Oh yeah. And I just want people to go out there and do what they like do. You can do anything. And that was why I wanted to show all my kids, but in particularly my daughter, is you can do anything. And and Michelle, you know this about me, like I will work myself way too hard, probably in most cases, but I love to work. I love to work. I love to service, but I really wanted my daughter to see that you could do anything. And one of your questions, I know that was on like, hey, this question could come
Yeah.
up. It's like, what opportunities have you been given? And that's the hardest question for me to answer for myself. But I have been able to give so many people opportunities that didn't have experience or didn't know what they're doing, but they really had an idea. And that was really huge for me because I didn't have people giving me a lot of opportunities in life. And I'm just so excited to see change in that area for women. It means so much to me, to see that evolving and to know that our daughters are going to be able to hopefully have all the opportunities and people see in them what I wish somebody saw in me or what I've seen in other people.
Well, I mean, I know that the thing is that sometimes we attract opportunities because we're able to create them for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And it really
wasn't waiting around for anyone.
Exactly. It really comes down to choice. And yeah. I think the thing is that you're an innovator. One of the things about you is that you see an obstacle. There isn't an obstacle for you. It's a solution.
Yeah, I love solving problems. That's also a big, huge part of my personality. But and look, these were not serious problems, right, in the world. So I don't claim to be anything I'm not. But I love seeing something and being able to make it better. So it doesn't matter if it's a store or a friend or like I'm there to support and to hopefully really step back, be able to think, how can this be better? And the way that I stepped into my first project was at Hawaii at the Four Seasons on the Big Island. And I will never forget, I was at a Christmas party in New York, a holiday party in New York, and people were talking about Hawaii, which my husband was involved with back then. And they were like, it could not be better. Like it's literally perfect. It is like, and I kept thinking, no, it could be better. Like there were things that could make it better. And one of them was like all of these people like buying things at this crazy gift store that nobody would want to purchase and never wear. And because they were just so hungry for an activity that fit who they were, I thought that could be better. So I just look at everything as like, how can we tweak it and make it as special as it possibly can? And how can I affect that? And that's where the no ordinary moments come from. Everything should be as extraordinary as you can make it.
Absolutely.
Way to live.
So speaking of extraordinary and new concepts, tell me about root living. Like, how did that come about? What are you looking to bring forward? I know that, first of all, it really taps into all your talents. It's beyond just the retail experience. And so I know the little bit that you've shared with me, I'm delighted to participate.
Well, I'm excited for you to participate. Because I love to have my friends around me so I can, get their honest opinions and just have a good time. So root living is definitely like before the pandemic, before COVID, I always say from an entrepreneur standpoint, like I always have good 10-year runs. Like I think I should bow out, kind of stop and start something new for me, it was like the 10-year mark. And I didn't do that.
Those are learnings. Life lessons.
Life happens, but I also was, I don't think I was ready. I also started this business when my kids were really young. They're going away to college, in a year. There was just so much going on, and then COVID hit, and I was so glad that I had already put a lot of thought into what was going to be my next act, my next journey. And it wasn't like I was abandoning what I've done to date with, Root Hospitality. So there's Root Living, Root Hospitality, formerly Seaside Luxe, which a lot of people know. But this is kind of an evolution. So we're definitely staying in the hospitality arena with Root Hospitality. We have a couple like very exclusive projects that we work on, and some great hotels. But a big part of like what I loved about, the journey was setting up these areas where you can have a retail experience or an experience with the brand, but you also were in a great design, like the design aesthetic. So we had all boutique hotel or bespoke, boutique. They were boutiques. They are boutiques, but it's bespoke design environment. So every single store that we ever designed was different. We started doing a lot in the residential realm. I love design. I don't think that I'm a designer. I work with really talented people, but I definitely can see what's supposed to be there that could potentially like enhance, the setting that you're in.
Like amazing.
So we're kind of combining. Yeah, exactly. So we're combining both of those. The what?
Like you're beyond that. You're like a visionary.
Yeah, I love that. But I also think it's just not everyone has the same vision. So for me, it's all about the consumer. It's all about the human that we're dealing with. It could be a client, a residential client. It could be someone who has a hotel property. And, right now it's kind of in the hospitality arena. It's like, hey, let's just be helpful where we want to be helpful. But after that, we're going into a lot of different markets. So, real estate is one of them. Apparel is one of them. There's a lot going on under the Root Living umbrella, and media, entertainment. So there's lots of good things to come, but it's really all encompassing the brand of living your best life, no ordinary moment, really focused on design and environments. And most of all, just focused on making people happy. Like, what can we do to make your dreams and, a reality on how you want to live your life?
I love that.
And not having to be burdened, by the way, Michelle, like trying to do that all for your family and everyone all the time. It's exhausting if you don't have a playbook and like you don't have a village supporting you. So we're going to be your village, which is going to be really fun.
I love that idea of being the village, because the reality is that if you could go to one place versus 20 places, isn't that saving all of us so much more time?
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember coming home from work, and I think you're going to totally relate to this, is like coming home from work and walking in the house. And for me, if everything is perfectly like in place, like that's me too. This isn't everybody, but like for me, like I love it when everything's, you walk in and you just are relaxed versus going, "Oh, I have so much
Yeah,
more to do once I get here."
exactly.
Or even just the organization of the house, or where to get what, where, like how does it all come together? It's really challenging, especially if you have this idea in your head of how you would like to live, and like you don't have the resources, and that's just not where you've been in your life or your journey at that point. You don't have the resources to figure it all out, but you need to create this for yourself, and your family. And hopefully we can do that and create some magical moments that people can actually just live in.
Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of touch on something about your journey into entrepreneurship and, you know, having these 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my question for you is for, the woman who has this brilliant idea, like people thought you were crazy. You were changing the landscape of retail. And
The Four Seasons thought I was absolutely insane. It was really funny. I love being underestimated, though. You got
well,
to.
that's the thing. So, like, what would you say to a woman that is looking to start something but doesn't know where to start, or people think that she's crazy? Like somebody I was talking to earlier today was like, I won't take no for an answer, like, because I will figure out a solution. So, what would you say?
I would say, first and foremost, check yourself. Like, how bad do you want it? Like, you got to really, how bad do you want it? And what reasons are you doing this? Those would be the first things to be really honest with yourself about, because it is not for the faint of heart if you really want to be successful, or if you want to do something that is meaningful. So, not taking no for an answer is a whole nother thing. Like, I think it depends on a lot of things. Like, what are your resources? Who are you partnered with? I learned a lot about myself at the beginning, at the middle, and even now I learn every single day. Like, and I do it because I actively listen to people around me, and podcasts like this, like Opportunity Knocks is a great thing. Like, make yourself listen to these things and ask yourself questions constantly to keep yourself in check, because just not taking no for an answer, I think that's a little too simplistic
It's
to
not. It's not
of an
enough.
approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Being able to have a clear path of your intent and your outcome, knowing your outcome before you even start anything, I think is incredibly important. If you don't, you're never going to get the outcome that you probably wanted. And I've learned through experience, and motivation. Like, where's your motivation coming from? Because you can have motivation. For me, like, it was just like showing my daughter something, and that was truly my motivation. And then 7 years down the road, I expected something else, not just to be able to show her that.
Yes.
So, just really take your time in the beginning of focusing on what is going to be important in your life. And then you really have to go for it. I mean, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to go for it. People might give you an opportunity, but you also have to create opportunities to either turn down, say yes to, fake it till you make it. You're going to have some opportunities that are just like out of your scope, possibly, and decide, like, is this really where I want to spend my time? And most of all, like, I would say, as an entrepreneur, do not get distracted from your mission. You can pivot, but do not waste your time getting distracted on something that is not going to benefit your business.
I
And
love
sometimes
those
that's 100
tips.
things.
Yeah. I
Like,
love
you
those
might
tips
have
because it's very clear. It's, because I think that a lot of times, like, people sweep around, like, what are the hardships that you might go through. But I feel like what you're really asking somebody to do the work and to be clear.
Yes, you
Because
have to
a lot
do
of
the
times
work.
people go into it very naively.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And I think that those are things that are going to fizzle out really quick. by the way. Those are things that you're going to lose interest in. They're too hard. They're going to fizzle out really quickly. The other point that I wanted to make when you were saying, what does it take to be an entrepreneur? I really think that sometimes people are going to think that you're crazy and that's not a great idea. If you know who your consumer is and you understand that consumer there and you believe that there is a need for that consumer, you're never crazy. I mean, you look at any large company, they're started predominantly what I like to call an eagle. You need an owl and an eagle. You got to have a big dreamer. You've got to have someone who is relentless with what they're doing and how it's supposed to be done and never giving up attitude. But I mean, realistically, there really is no idea that is stupid or crazy if you really truly understand your consumer and what you're trying to do and your convictions are very clear.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that you're kind of discussing like having your community, your team, your board, the people that are there, that each person plays a different role to help you get there.
Yeah, but also believing in yourself. My mission is to say, yes, like you can take good feedback, you can take bad feedback. My biggest mistake as an entrepreneur was not listening to my gut and thinking that other people were smarter than I was in the industry that we basically created, the genre of retail that we created, and thinking, just not thinking that I should stay on my path. I should take the advice from other people when that was really not the case, So I would go back to stick to your gut, actively listen, stick to your gut in the ways of if it doesn't feel right, don't make that move.
What is the actual area within retail that you created? Is it called destination experiences or?
Destination retail is really what we focus on. So anything that's like adjacent or with like the travel industry. So any of your big hotel brands, your luxury hotel brands, pretty much what happened was everything from luxury 5-star to 3-star had the same gift shop. There was no products that, were highly curated. And then we also innovated this bespoke design for locations and for specific clients. Like even in Hawaii, our stores, it's not like, oh, these are our Hawaii stores. Mm-hmm. It's this location is very specific with the design and the curation to this location, this consumer. Mm-hmm. So that's really from a bespoke design and then just a destination retail being important versus just, your hideous gift shop. When people call stores gift shops and we're involved, it literally like you could not do something worse to me, my soul. So,
well, I have to say, like I've said before, is that there's no retail experience like the ones you've created.
Oh, thanks.
In truth. I mean, because they truly are unique and different at each location. There is not a cookie cutter approach, or we use all these same fabrics because we basically, are able to like line price things across the board. And, so it is amazing. So tell me, what's the dream for you now? Like, what do you see in your vision in the next 5 years for Root Living? And, as you continue to roll out this next version of your brand?
Yeah, I think it's like I'm kind of in the middle of it. I'm definitely in the evolution phase and I'm taking time with it, which I'm really proud of because it's really hard for me to have patience. I'm utilizing this time that I have right now and with everything being so uncertain in the world to really figure out what people are what is always going to be useful to people. Like it's not just about a big idea, it's about what's really going to stand long term and also going to leave me with the ability just to focus on not being a workaholic. Like I believe in balance. I believe you can get to that place if you're not distracted and you're really focused. And, I have a lot of priorities outside of just work. I'm an avid horse rider. I love my animals. I want to be able to create routines that are really important. And that's where I am, like creating the routines, putting together the plans, doing some, projects, testing those strategies out, and waiting for the right time.
So what do you think, like when you're saying like creating routines and things like that, what are some things that you would recommend to a female founder to put into play that you don't compromise, that maybe you didn't have?
Don't don't wait to do things that you really truly want to do, like for yourself.
Mm,
So the routine for me is doing something that brings me nothing but joy, that I don't feel like I have to do because of a reason. Like I used to, I'll give you an example because I think it's the easiest one. If you're, I would say everybody can relate to it, but really women can relate to it. It's like you're going to go work out because you got to stay in shape. You got to do this because there's a reason. Like
yes.
you got to go to this music class because your kids really need music, and everyone says your kids need like music when they're 1 year old and they
Yeah.
can't speak. Like and like all of these things like that you feel like you have to do that are supposed to bring you joy and create a routine in your life. And then you put everything on the back burner that because it might be new and you're starting from scratch. I mean, I just think don't do that. Like, don't waste precious time on things that you're just expecting an outcome from. That's not just joy. So, wearing clothing, wear what brings you joy. I know there was like this whole woman who was like, it doesn't bring you joy, let it go.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
great
do any
concept.
of that, but I agree
Yeah,
with her,
yeah,
like try to utilize the either like very special time to bring yourself joy outside of anything to do with your family or work
mhm,
that truly brings you joy, and then do things too that that bring you joy, like when you are working, when you are with your family. But it's not always going to be the same because you do have to have an outcome on those different things. Like you do have to keep certain people happy when they're young, you do need
yeah,
to do certain things. But routine for me is, I always put in check is what is going to keep me grounded, what is going to keep my head clear, what is going to help me keep breathing, and then what is going to bring me really like something that brings me joy. And I really was not good about that or good to myself for a very long time.
I love that. I have seen so much joy in you in the last year, like coming even more forward, right? That it's not related to work. But I'd love to hear from you what your greatest joy is in the last 6 months. What's the experience you've had that you've created for yourself that you've been like, oh my gosh, this was hands down life changing?
Oh, I mean, for me, 100%, it's got to be. I mean, there's so many things, Michelle, like just so many things that I feel like have been really, really good. But like the number one is definitely like my horses, and knowing that I want to live in Colorado and be here in Los Angeles and Colorado, and know that my long term is to like have a farm, which is going to be my happy place forever and ever. And I think it's so weird because I mean, a year ago, you would have never heard me say that. But yeah, now I have a lot of clarity around it. My horses would definitely, and like just being in that community and learning something new and knowing that you can and you can accomplish things. And I black out. I'm so happy. Like it just clears my head and I'm just ecstatic every day. Nothing bothers me when I'm out there.
You know, I have never, I mean, I've rode horses and such, but I've never had a relationship with a horse. And I know that people that are so in tune with equine therapy and just equine, equestrian and stuff, it's just a different
Yeah.
life. What is it like, if you could put it in a sentence, like what is it that creates this special bond that is different than a dog, say? Or is it the size, or
Yeah.
no?
It's not the size. I think it's first of all, horses are work animals. They
Mhm.
really want to do the right thing. So I think that there's this thing that they want to be connected in a positive way, in a happy way, but they're gonna show up for you. And they
Mm,
can feel energy. I mean, they are just so energetic as
mhm,
beings. I think for me, that's like always been a thing. Like the energy that I have with them and I share with them is amazing. But you have to really trust them too, which is
mhm.
also really hard for people. So I highly recommend it if it's like if people like are going through something, and the therapy around horses is you really have to trust this wild animal. Like you're on a wild animal. It is what it is. Like they're 1,500 to 2,000 pounds. Mine is 16 and 3 hands, which is extremely tall, extremely big. And I can literally think something now and he knows exactly what I don't even have to give him signals all the time because you're so in tune. And when I am having like a tight back, he knows. He'll adjust himself to me. And it's just amazing. And it's just, you have to be present. You have to be connected. It's meditative and in such a different way. And you just have to trust it. It's good.
Love that.
I don't know. And they're just so smart, they're just the smartest, sweetest. Just, I mean, people think that they're like, people are like, my horse is my best friend. And I totally
no, for real. Like I really, I think it's so cool when I hear people talk about their relationship with their horse. And I obviously, because I don't have a horse, I can't fully embody it, but I love the stories that I hear and I love the connection, especially because I like you love the whole energetic component of things.
Yeah.
So
it's very energetic. I do want to say this though, like with the routine part of it, it's and not waiting. Like I rode horses when I was really young and then I stopped riding. And this is what I'm talking about. Like I always said, I'm going to go ride again. I always rode when I was on vacations. I tried to start riding again after the kids were born. I was supposed to learn how to play polo, and I waited and waited and I focused on work. I focused on the family and I just, was so consumed with it.
Lost what you wanted.
Yeah. And I can't believe I let, 30 years go by basically and didn't do what I really wanted to do. And I can't believe I did that. But 30 years goes by pretty darn quick when you have a very intense life. But like, think about that. Like, oh my God, there's a hummingbird out my window, by the way, Michelle. Like, hi, that's good luck. This must be going to be a very good opportunity.
I love that.
But isn't that so cute? It's like literally hovering right outside looking at us. So
make a wish right now.
But like, I just don't, that's my whole thing. It's like, don't let time slip by and not do what you want to do that, is going to make you happy.
I totally agree with you. I feel that too many women do that. That's one of the rationales for obviously having this podcast, but and there's so many talented women, and that if we can just give them just a snapshot into the possibilities that are out there. And again, it's time. Like, what do you want to invest your time in, right? Without losing yourself. So, and I think that's a commitment that I made to myself too, after living a crazy life, that I would never go back to that. So I have one last question for you, because of course we can talk forever. My question for you is, what are your top 5 core values?
Top 5 core values. In business or in life?
In life.
In life. Never settle. Unless you want to settle, unless it's your goal. You can settle then. I would say kindness is a huge one for me. Love is my core value. Like, show as much love to every human being that you possibly can, and tell them what you're thinking. Not, like if it's positive, like you're thinking something, let it come out of your mouth. Like, be kind, be genuine, be loving. That would be my 3rd one. 4 would, this is really hard, Michelle. I'm like, there's so many, but my top ones.
Seems like we need to play my game with you.
Okay, play your game.
Well, I'm gonna.
I love games. What is the game?
I have this amazing game.
Okay.
Where is it? It's called.
Oh my God, I love it.
It's called Value You. I made it. We're gonna have to play it together. There's 55 cards in the deck. We play it a little bit like Uno, and I coach you while we go along. So I'm gonna say that connection is one of them for you.
True. I do
And
value connection.
I would say also ingenuity or innovation.
Yes, I would definitely say that's important to me.
Because you don't like sort of the standard boring, like for you, again, goes back to no ordinary moments. If it's too ordinary, it's not that interesting to you.
Definitely not. And by the way, my horse is the same way. He hates small jumps. He's like, this is stupid.
Why
what
are
are we
we
doing?
doing this? Why are you making me do this? That's so.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is so uninteresting.
I love that. I love that.
No, but it's true. Like that, yes, I would say I didn't even think of that being a core value, but like definitely that.
So core values are all about how we make choice every day. Where do we make choice from? And when you like, if somebody has ruffled a core value, it's usually like when we get upset about something and you look deeper, it's like, what is it specifically that's bothering me about this situation? And it's generally that somebody stepped on a value of yours.
Well, I definitely value fearlessness.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah, I definitely value that. And I pride myself like on.
Yeah, it's like a guiding principle of yours.
Mm-hmm.
And it always has been, even when you were young.
People. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy for people,
Mm-hmm.
I was told that I could do anything. I just happened to believe it. So you had to be really fearless if you have that as a belief that you can do anything.
I absolutely agree.
Living in fear is probably the worst way you can live your life.
Yeah, and it's stifling. Freedom is a value of yours too. That's the thing.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah. You pointed that out to me, and now I think about it all the time. I'm like, freedom is a huge.
Freedom is like so huge for you. Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Anyways, well, we can talk for hours.
That's a weird word, but I mean, I think freedom leads to respect. For me. Like I like to be respectful, and I like to have people respect my thoughts and my opinion and acknowledge that it might not be what theirs is, but it's I have freedom to say and believe things, as well as put those things into motion.
I like this. We got full circle.
We did. You're such a good coach.
I love you. Well, I'm so grateful for your time today. I'm so thankful that we finally were able to do this. And of course, there's just so much more to talk about because you're a wealth of information and so many people need to learn from you. So where can people find you when they want to contact you?
Instagram is at Root Living and at LeeAnn Sauter. You can also
amazing photography.
Amazing photography. Thank you, Debbie Church, Peachy Keen Social. And also the No Ordinary Moment podcast. So tune in, listen up, hear about some of our, no ordinary moments.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, I will definitely make sure that everybody tunes into that. And I'm grateful for your time today. I love you so much, my friend.
I love you, beautiful lady. Thank you for helping everybody.